All right, great. So we're going to start by covering the context, and the context of the estimate is that you are 100% there for the customer. So there's a few things I've got down here. So first and foremost, you need to care more about the customer than you do about the sale. All right, so anytime that you've most likely had plenty of experiences with salespeople in your life, and anytime, if you look back, anytime where a salesperson seemed inauthentic, not genuine, or you got the impression they were like you were asking a question and you truly were interested in buying their product, but you almost got the vibe that they were kind of trying to like sell you something you didn't need, or you just kind of got that vibe from someone that they maybe didn't have your best intentions at heart. You lose trust. And the moment you lose trust, sales is all about trust. If they just totally trust you, they'll almost write a check. They'll just they just want to work. They'll just work with you. It doesn't. Nothing else really. Trust trumps everything else. But trust is so easy to lose. And the reason it's so easy to lose is because people have incredibly good bullshit detectors. And even if people can't actually articulate it or put their finger on it, it'll be something like, I don't know, I just didn't get a good vibe. Like you kind of have that wall of defense come up the second you feel like someone's trying to sell you. The second you feel like someone's trying to sell you or talk you into something or has their own best interest at heart and not yours, the second that happens, you lose some trust with that person and you start to put up a guard and a wall. All right? And you just don't trust them as much. So like the whole presentation, their price, if you don't trust them, how do you trust anything they present to you? The job that they're actually giving you, right? And then when someone else comes in, like me, and I come in behind you, and I never lose that trust with the customer because I'm truly putting them first. If they say, hey, do you think this needs to be replaced, or do you think this side needs to be painted, or do you think this needs to be done? And I'm just totally honest with them. I'm just totally honest, whereas the guy before me, and maybe that was you, was a little dishonest or trying to push the sale, or like overselling, like, oh my God, this deck is terrible condition. You absolutely need to get this done. Like, yeah, you're gonna need 2 coats. You're gonna need this. You're gonna need that. And it's like, and then I come in and I'm like, and I'm more educating you, and I'm taking care of you, and I'm like, well, here's actually what's going on, because I'm not trying to win a sale. I'm trying to just take care of you. I win that sale because you discredit yourself, or this other person discredits themselves by trying to sell people something instead of just taking care of them. All right. So the littlest things lose trust with people. And so the easiest way to avoid that is just to really truly put the customer first, 100%. Care more about them than you do the sale. What would you recommend to your mom? If this customer you're talking to was your mother and she said, do I need to get this painted? What paint do you recommend? What do you think I should use, sweetie? Like, what do you think I should do? I don't know. I've never painted my house. Like, what would you recommend to your mom? You wouldn't take advantage of your mom. You wouldn't try to sell your mom. You wouldn't try to squeeze more money out of your mom. You would give her the best paint job based on your recommendations as a professional, as someone who knows a lot. You give them the best recommendation, as if it's your mom. So you care more about the customer than you do about the sale. Get them what they need and want. We need to give people what they need and what they want. And the best way to do that is by asking questions and listening. And then you just kind of know, like, okay, cool. So how long do you want the paint job to last? What are you looking for? How long have you been here? Do you want this to last forever? How long have you been in the home? And you kind of learn enough about the customer, as if just like you know a lot about your mom, you learn a lot about this customer so that you can recommend the best recommendations for them. And you'll hear me say the word recommendation a lot because I don't tell people what we do. I don't tell them what they need to do. I educate people and I ask them. And we do that with our whole sales team. Educate people and ask them. Here's what's going on with the house. Here's this, here's the different kinds of paint. What would you like? Does that sound good, or do you have another preference? Okay, great. So I'm going to use that. You are the professional and you're their advisor. Just like if your mom asked for a paint job, you're the advisor, you're the professional. So your job is to educate them and advise them on what's the best solution for them. And if the more honest you are, the more trust you build. Like, be 100% honest and don't care about the sale. Care about taking care of them. And you will sell more than anybody else if you do that. Don't get fazed by anything they say. It's not about you. So kind of going through these different bullets, these are just things I've seen, all right? And this is a big one that throws people off, all right? So don't get fazed by anything they say. And here's some examples of what people say that throws you off. They say, something like when you're setting up the estimate, or right when you get there, they say, well, we're just starting to get estimates. We're just kind of shopping around. And that hooks people sometimes, because then they're like, fuck, I'm not going to, excuse me, language, crap, I'm not going to book this job, and you start getting worried about you. It's not about you, all right? They're just putting up their guard. Just because people say things, it doesn't mean they say them. In fact, I'm someone who puts up an immediate objection. The second you pre-close on me, I'm like, look, man, I'm just getting estimates. Like, we'll see how it goes, but like, I'm just getting estimates, and I'll probably get a few estimates. I'm full of it though. Like, the people who put up the biggest guards, they're afraid of getting closed on. So don't worry if they put up an objection early. Or another thing that hooks people and then kind of gets people phased is, well, you're our first estimate, and we're going to be getting 3 estimates, and we're not making any decisions today. It's like, sometimes I can when I'm training my salespeople, I can literally see their face change from hearing that. They're like, they immediately like give up. They're like, oh crap, I'm not going to book this job. And they literally like give up. It's like, instead your response should be like, okay, cool. So anyways, and you go move right on, like blow by it. Don't even acknowledge it. It's not a big deal. It's not about you. Don't get phased by it. Just blow right past it and do your estimate process the way it's designed. I can't tell you how many times we close jobs where the customers start on the initial phone call, and the first thing at the estimate, in both cases, they say, look, you're our first estimate. We're not making any decisions today. Just want to let you know that. And then at the end of the estimate, they sign with us and they cancel their other estimates they have set up. So just don't worry about it. But the only time that happens is when you don't worry about it. If you buy in and get hooked by their objection, you're in trouble. So this is a big one that throws people off of being 100% for the customer, because it's when you hear an objection from them, like they're not going to sign with you, or they're getting other estimates, or they're just thinking about it, or they may not even paint this year or whatever. Don't worry about it. Just go back, take care of the customer, get them what they need and want. You're the professional and their advisor. Be there for them as if it's your mom. Because eventually they're going to paint. Anyone that is getting a painting estimate is going to paint. They're going to paint. Nobody gets painting estimates for fun. Nobody does it. And this is a need. So if they're getting an estimate, they're going to paint. And who they're going to go with is the person they trust. And the best way to be the person they trust is to be 100% for the customer. Care more about them than the sale. Give them what they need and want. Be the professional advisor. Don't try to sell them on anything. Just be real and take care of them. Now this is another really big one. All right, now it's really hard for you to be 100% for the customer, or really listen and really be there and really be your best self at the estimate if you don't have a clear mind and a clear head going into your estimates. And that's why earlier in the course I talked about the importance of setting goals, time management, organization, and including your whole life in your schedule, in your planning, because your whole life needs to work. Like, if you're walking into the estimate and you're really concerned about finances, like, I'm really concerned about finances, I need to book this job, like, you've got to set that aside. Otherwise, at the estimate, you're going to be so worried about booking the job, you're not going to be 100% for the customer. If you're going into the estimate and you just had a big fight with your girlfriend or your significant other or whatever, like, that's going to impact you going into the estimate. So you've got to clear your mind for the estimate. And so there's a few things you can do. One is just make sure your life works. Like, don't have breakdowns. Like, manage your whole life so that you just are great all the time in your whole life. Set goals in your whole life, plan your whole life, manage your whole life. Another thing you can do is, if you've got a breakdown or there's something on your mind, just before you go in the estimate, take out a piece of paper, write everything down, get it out of your head, and then just say, I'm not going to deal with this right now for the next hour and a half. I'm just going to go take care of this customer. Because either way, whether you're going in there worried about all this stuff or not, either way you're doing this estimate. And there's one way that's the most effective way to do the estimate. Either way you're doing it, so you might as well do it the best possible way, which is going in clear-headed. All those problems aren't going anywhere, but thinking about them while you're in the estimate, or having them on the back of your head while you're at the estimate, is going to self-sabotage your estimate. So you've got to go in with a clear mind and a clear head, and one really easy way to do that is to write everything down that's on your mind and get it out of your head. And after the estimate, you can deal with it. And, a lot of times people, well, this is for probably a whole other video or a whole other course, but if you've got things that are on your mind and bothering you, that's totally okay. But that should be a signal that there's an area of your life that something's not working and you should do something about it. And so, if you're worried about your relationship, okay, well, what are you really committed to in your relationship, and what are you going to do to make it right? And you go and you handle it and take care of it. There's nothing wrong with breakdowns. Breakdowns and problems are just like a signal to us that there's something for us to go to work on in our life. And so when you write that down and then plan time in later to actually work on it, that's more effective than having it on the back of your mind through your entire day with everything you do. If it's on your mind, that's a signal that you should plan time to do something about it and put it in your schedule, and that's the time you set aside to do something about it instead of carrying it with you all day long. So clear mind, clear head going into estimates, and that will help with actually just anything in business, going into meetings, going into marketing sessions, managing production, dealing with customers on the phone. Like, you want to be 100% present and doing one thing at a time. And doing one thing at a time means there's nothing going on in your head at the same time. Anything that's going on in your head at the same time, you should write down, put into your schedule, and deal with it at that time. So this is really important. I spend probably half of my time working with my sales team on this, and the other half of the time we spend on the next 5 elements of sales that we're going to cover.